All right, hi, welcome back. Attorney Steve Vondran. Today we are talking civil procedure. I know everybody's favorite topic, right? Personal jurisdiction and the power to bind. This video will answer the question, where do you sue? Not how do you do, but where do you sue? So without further ado, let's head to the Attorney Steve litigation whiteboard. All right. Happy Sunday to you. I hope you guys are off to a great New Year's in 2024 here. Lots of things happening at our firm. So today I had a special request. Somebody asked me, can you do a little something on personal jurisdiction where you sue somebody like a corporation? So of course I'm always liking to please my fans. So here we go. All right. So let's talk about jurisdiction. When you're looking at jurisdiction, it's a simple question of where is the right court where you have the power to hear and bind, where the judge, the court has the power to hear the case and bind the parties in a judgment that won't come undone, okay? So you want to make sure you're suing in the right jurisdiction, okay? Now, look, I'm going to give you 3 quick examples that I think are going to make things very simple for you. I like to take, this is probably 3 weeks of law school condensed down into, 6, 7, 8 minute video. I'm going to try it. Let me get going. But it's the power of the court to be able to hear and bind the parties to a binding judgment that can be enforceable. So where do you sue? All right, so we got Big Moose Trucking Company, a New York company incorporated in Delaware. A lot of companies you see will be incorporated in Delaware, especially the bigger companies. Why? There's an established body of law there. They've got things, protections. They got a lot of things out there. I'm not going to go into that, but there's a lot of reasons why people incorporate in Delaware. So we're going to have our fictitious company, Big Moose Trucking, Big Moose, a Delaware corporation with its principal headquarters in New York, its principal place of business, okay? And usually that's your headquarters. You'll probably find it on Wikipedia. Here's the headquarters, things like that. So in a case, and then let me go back to this first. So before I get back to my trucking company, so jurisdiction is all about due process right here. Due process, okay? In the Constitution of the United States, in the 5th Amendment right here, in the 14th Amendment, and that could be if you're in a state court, you're looking at your 14th Amendment rights. If you're in a federal court, your 5th Amendment rights. To due process that your life, your liberty, your property shall not be taken without due process of law. And part of that due process is minimum contacts. Before you sue someone in a particular jurisdiction across the United States, could be Texas, Florida, Washington, California, Arizona, you need to have proper constitutional minimum contacts such that due process concerns are satisfied. So you can't haul somebody in if there's no jurisdiction. And I'm going to talk here next. So follow me down. Jurisdiction, you have personal jurisdiction. That's what we're talking about today. You have subject matter jurisdiction. The court must have both. So with subject matter jurisdiction, generally you have your state courts, which are usually general courts, your municipal superior courts, general courts of general jurisdiction. They can hear disputes, up to this amount or that amount. Check your local jurisdictions. So if you have a state court, that's general. Now, federal court, there's 2 ways to get to federal court. So you're always going to want to make sure that you have both personal jurisdiction and subject matter. Federal question is one, like a copyright claim, that's a federal lawsuit, so that it has to be brought in a federal court. But if you have any question like telecommunications statute, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, federal laws, you can get into federal court with a federal question. The other way is you have, here's my injured person down here in Los Angeles, here's Big Moose Trucking over here. If you have citizens of different states and you can meet the 75,000 plus amount in controversy, that's called diversity jurisdiction, okay? So I'm not going to focus on that. That's a whole nother thing. Today we're going to focus on the jurisdiction, which is due process question. And it's all about fair play and substantial justice. You want to make sure you're hauling a company in that has the proper minimum contacts with the jurisdiction and such that it is fair play and substantial justice. They should expect to be hauled in. They should expect to answer the lawsuit where you're suing them. That's what it's about. Now, I've broken this down here for you into 2 things. This is what the courts look at. This isn't just my thing. This is what the courts look at. 1, general jurisdiction. I have here GJ, general jurisdiction. That's where you have what we call you're at home. You've got the home court advantage because this is where you do business. General jurisdiction requires a systematic and continuous present, substantial, and ongoing. This would be where you incorporate. That would be general jurisdiction. You have a home court advantage there. You're there. It's systematic. It's continuous. It's ongoing. So that is one place where you can find jurisdiction, and you can also find it with the principal place of business. Why? Your headquarters is here. You're a member of the state. You're in the state of New York. They're going to protect you. You're a benefit from their laws, right? So either one of these is going to be sufficient. That's why I have here, whoops, that's why I hear both. Both of these are general jurisdiction, the Delaware Corporation and the New York principal place of business. Now, sometimes you may have a company like Big Moose. They may have a headquarters up here in Montana as well. And then you need to look into, well, it's the nerve center test and where's the bulk of the business, the bulk of the sales. So you can have that problem arise when it comes to general jurisdiction, GJ, okay? And so I'm going to run you through some examples, but that's general jurisdiction. That's your home court. You're there. It's suing the Lakers in Los Angeles. That's where they do business. It's suing Microsoft in Washington. That's where their headquarters are. That's where they do business. Suing them in Delaware, since they want to incorporate in Delaware, you can sue them in Delaware, although it's usually never advised to sue people in Delaware, but this is not legal advice. It's general legal information only. The other one is specific jurisdiction, SJ, okay? GJ, SJ. SJ is when you have something where you're reaching out into the state. You're purposely availing yourself of the benefits and protections of the forum, as we say, okay? So it's not random or attenuated contacts. For example, you have a website that happens to be selling where our victim is over here in California. You're online and people from California can buy from your website. Many times that's not going to work. It's attenuated. It's too fortuitous, as they say. So where you're seeking the benefits and protection of the forum, and this is another big one, the brunt of the injury can be felt there. So for example, a car crash. So if you have a car crash here in Kansas, there's the injuries there. The brunt of the injury can be felt there. That is a place for jurisdiction, but not general jurisdiction because Big Moose Company, Moose Trucking, does not have an office in Kansas. So the only way you can get them in is under specific jurisdiction under that scenario. So just keep in mind, general is like systematic, continuous, home court advantage. You live here, you work here, all kinds of things. And specific jurisdiction is more on a reaching out basis, doing something. I'll give you an example. There was a company in Canada that was sued in Northern District of California, and the judge said, well, the brunt of the injury can be felt here. The court said, well, there's software infringement, so the brunt of the injury can be felt here. So the company from Canada had to answer the complaint in the Northern District of California, San Francisco Bay Area. Now it seems like, wow, that's kind of random and attenuated, right? But you need to check your various states when you're filing these cases, check their case law, see what kind of things qualify under what we call the long arm statute for the state, okay? So here's your two types of jurisdiction. It's all about this. It's all about fair play and substantial justice. Let's do 3 examples, and I think you're going to figure this out. All right, 1. Let's just take my little piece here. All right, say we got our Los Angeles person, happens to be out in New York, Times Square, enjoying the New Year's holiday, watching the Big Apple drop, and Big Moose Trucking hits the person. Now, where do you sue? Well, this person can't sue in California, even though they're from California, but they could sue here, Delaware and New York. Why? General jurisdiction, remember? General jurisdiction. And that's a pretty simple, very simple. Where do you sue them? You're going to sue them there. If the accident happened there, you're going to sue them there. Now, let's say you have the CEO for Big Moose has a office, a home office and a second home and a third home out on the coast of California. You may be able to get general jurisdiction on that, okay? So be looking for these things Again, I don't want to go into too many details. There's 100,000 different nuances. So if the accident occurs here, you're going to sue there, either the state of incorporation or New York, whatever. Now this is where you can do a little forum shopping, because maybe Delaware law is worse, New York is much better. So you get to do forum shopping, even though that is discouraged. But that's what goes on. All right. So that's number one. Okay, now what if Big Moose sends its truck drivers out here to Kansas? On the way to Kansas, our injured person is coming back from New York and gets hit by big trucking here in Kansas. Now where do you sue? Okay, well, you know you still got this, Delaware and New York. Why? Principal place of business or incorporation is general jurisdiction, GJ. There you go. So you can always sue them out there if you want. You could possibly even sue them here in Kansas, because they're making a special jurisdiction here, okay? Special jurisdiction right here, sue in Kansas. Why? Because the brunt of the injury, the accident, the acts and omissions occurred here. So there may be where you look to see, well, should we file here in Kansas? Should we file here in Delaware or New York? Maybe the statute of limitations is better. Maybe there's no comparative fault in Kansas. Maybe this is the best place to sue. I don't know. These are the things you look at. Or you say, well, I'm headed back to California and the CEO is still up there in their home. Maybe I can sue them up there. I'm just giving you ideas, okay? So that's two. Number two, what happens if the accident happens somewhere else, where you're not from, where they're not from? So you got number one, number two. Now let's say Big Moose Trucking makes it all the way over to the beautiful western coast of California, big drop off and a shipment and whatnot, and the injury occurs here in LA. Once again, where can you sue? Well, of course, if you want, you can still go back to here because there's general jurisdiction. And usually you would sue a defendant where they're residing or where their business is, where they're located, okay? But since you're here and since the accident occurred here, that is specific jurisdiction. Once again, the brunt of the injury, the acts and omissions occurred here, okay? So this is specific jurisdiction. So if you look at things from that standpoint, you're looking okay. And also you look up here and see if the CEO has something. So there you have the third way to do it. And so that should give you ideas. So really, whenever you have a lawsuit and you're thinking about filing it, just look at this: personal jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction. That's a little bit easier to figure out. Power of the court to hear and bind. Remember, it's due process. Minimum contacts, that's your international shoe case. It's all about fair play and substantial justice. You have general jurisdiction, specific jurisdiction. One is the hometown advantage here. One is something you reach out and you purposely avail yourselves of the benefits and protections, or you purposely direct your activities. And that can differ whether you're looking at a contract case or a torts case. And then right here, I mean, then just where did it happen? Where's the cause of action? Where did that happen? That's a specific jurisdiction. And if you're over here, now you have the injured person in California. They're not here, but you have specific jurisdiction when the accident occurs here. So guys, I hope that really kind of narrows it down for you, gives you a good idea how personal jurisdiction works. Sorry I ran a little bit over on the video, but that's what you're looking at.